words of information, words of inspiration, and words of insight that may spark something in your mind. Listen, I'm not trying to tell you what to think. I'm just trying to get you to think. Remember, words are powerful. It only takes a spark to start a fire. So let's spark it up. So let me give you some happenings at the village. Remember, our theme throughout this year is keep moving forward. And we've got to do that. It doesn't mean that we don't look back at times to learn from the past, but we still got to keep moving forward. Every Sunday, though, we have worship at 9 a.m., and we invite you to be a part of it. It's on all of our platforms. It's on my Facebook page, which is under my name. Then it's under the Village Facebook page, which is the church. Then you get it through other means that we have. It's YouTube and Twitter, so you don't have to miss it. But what I want to ask you to do this year is, get up, or whenever you decide to watch, to be fully present. Get your cup of coffee or tea or whatever it is that you're going to have at that time, so you can take in it fully. The service is only about an hour. I'll take some notes so you can have some things to work with throughout the week. Remember, we pray every Wednesday too at 6:15 in the morning. I pray on Wednesday. You can join us, and the numbers on our website, and you can go there, villagedc.church, and get that information. And just join us. You don't need to be a member. Just join us for 15 minutes of prayer every Wednesday. And I want to thank all of those persons who helped to make the fresh produce giveaway on last Monday a success. I want to thank East River Family Strengthening Collaborative. I want to thank the Benning Terrace Family Success Center and all the cadre of volunteers. Thank you so much. Now, tomorrow night, our Bible study will be starting. This is our Word on Wednesday, which is our spring teaching series. Starts at 7:30. You don't want to miss it. Get there, get present. I want you to have whatever book you're going to take notes with, have your Bible, and just come with me. We're going to be looking at Esther, the book of Esther, and particularly these women, Vashti and Esther, and how they were powerful women, and how they really sort of led sort of resistance, but also sort of a way of helping us to get through the times that we're in, because they were strong women, and they definitely give us an example of what we can do in our times. So that's tomorrow at 7:30. And then don't forget, we'll be starting our Daniel fast on the 22nd. So get your refrigerator, get your cabinets ready. Listen, if you're like me, you may have a weakness for something, whether it's potato chips or whether it's ice cream. You cannot do the Daniel fast if you've got those things in your cabinets or in your refrigerator or freezer. So you got to get rid of it. Give it away. Don't buy any. Get those fresh vegetables in there. Get plenty of water. Get the things that you need. You'll be eating like a vegetarian for the next 21 days. And no fried or processed food, no candy, no honey, and all these other kind of things. So get ready. And we want to pray. We want to fast this way during this whole time, that God will first of all bring a change in us and then a change in our environment. This is also Black History Month. So continue to not only celebrate this month, but throughout the year, all of the things that our people have done in terms of its contribution to the American society. Listen, I want to thank you all again for your giving, for the things that you've done with our church, the way you support us in so many ways. Remember, the ministry is about touching lives. It's not about brick and mortar. The village is in the business of touching lives, and that's ministry, and it continues because of your tithes and your offerings. And so I want to thank you again. Don't forget to give. You can give through Givelify or the Cash App. Either way, in any amount. Remember, they're all tax deductible. Thank you. Well, tonight I want to sort of dive into a little subject about schools, particularly public schools, but all schools. Do schools need to reopen? Do schools need to reopen? I'm not sure what I would do if my kids were school-age kids, and I had them at this moment. They're adults now, but I probably would not want them to go to school. But that's my opinion about what's going on. So I'm not sure where you stand, but I know it's a difficult decision for all of us. Listen, COVID-19 is not going anywhere, as many folks believe. And then, so how can you live with it? And how can you and I live with it? What do parents and teachers and administrators and unions and public school officials think about reopening? Well, an article I read in the Hill magazine said COVID-19 will be with us for the foreseeable future, possibly for several years. It's time we started building plans with our public education system to deliver in-person instruction safely during the pandemic. Well, what about the vaccine? Isn't the vaccine supposed to help to mitigate the spread of the coronavirus? The vaccine is here. Of course, we know it's not getting everywhere, but it's here. So the article went on to say then the new vaccine is unlikely to be widely available for the next several months. Many families have concerns about the eventual vaccine's efficacy and its safety. And it may take as long as, listen to this, 18 months for the vaccination rates to reach levels that will yield something close to herd immunity. Pointed to as the desired safe state for schools to reopen for in-person instruction. That means herd immunity, that everybody either has had the vaccination or they've maybe had COVID, but they lived through it, maybe have antibodies. And so now it's kind of safe or safer now for people to sort of move around in a fashion they've been used to. So if you think about this time frame, that amounts to almost 2 years from today at best. This is 2021, 2 years from then that's 2023. And then there are other strands that are coming out. Who knows how long we're going to be with this. I tell you this, we're going to have to wear masks for a while. And I'm okay with that. Some people are not, but I'm okay. I'd rather wear a mask and stay alive than run around talking about I don't need to wear one and end up hurting other people or hurting myself. So what are parents and educators as well as political leaders to do? Well, you know how these United States of America works. Well, if you don't know, here's an example. Black and brown children, as well as those from low-income backgrounds and children with special needs, are paying the greatest price for the current school closures. Families of means are enrolling in private schools for in-person instruction, hiring private tutors for learning pods, and have professional flexibility to support distance learning more effectively. As a result, learning is less and less equitable. Simply stated, there are many parents who have means. A lot of them are working remotely themselves, so they're at home, or they have the financial means, even while they're working at home, to bring someone into the home to tutor their children, or they send them to private schools who open up and have in-person learning for a few students, but it's private. That means it's not open to all. So now some think that schools can be safe. Well, I'm not so sure. I would be very concerned if I was an educator or a parent or student or public leader making decisions that affect other people's lives. See, the other thing that bothers me, there are people, particularly some of our political leaders and other people and pundits, who are making decisions about people's lives when they don't have to come out of their homes to go to work. As a matter of fact, they're not even considered essential workers, even though they are still working and making money remotely. This is some of what is being reported. Data shows that schools are not likely to be high transmission risk sites when reopened, right? When we open right, that's a key phrase. Opened right. So that means a lot of schools are not opening right. And then we got to think about that. Here, right in D.C., Washington, D.C., there's schools that were having problems with their buildings and ventilation systems pre-COVID. So you can imagine that they haven't taken the resources to make those schools as safe as possible. And how do they keep the teachers safe, and the administrators and the students? Some parents just want their kids out because they're tired of dealing with their own children. I understand. Studies in Europe and South Korea and Australia show that schools can reopen safely with limited risk of school-based community. That's in these other countries. Recent research in Spain and close to home in Utah confirmed these findings. Even in states where reopening plans were expedited for political purposes, like Florida, there has been little spread of the virus at schools themselves. This is because mask wearing, social, and I would say physical distancing, proper ventilation, robust contact tracing. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't see a lot of contact tracing. I don't what they are saying here in mask wearing in some of these places. Like last night, as the NFL ended its season with the Super Bowl, which was won by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over the Kansas City Chiefs. Those people in Tampa were partying. They had no mask on. They were all over the place. And so the only place that I've seen sort of clean environments that I've witnessed and heard about, because when I look around the United States in general, a lot of people are still not wearing masks and they're not physical distancing. So the only place that I've seen this robust sort of contact tracing and ventilation and a system that works is in the NBA when they had the bubble and the NFL. But I'm not sure about schools. So listen, simply setting a date for a return to in-person instructions is not good enough. Trust is as vital as science for public health. If people don't trust what you've been doing, they're not going to be trusted. They can send their child to a school when they haven't been able to trust you to educate them in the first place and do the right things by them. And even before the pandemic, we lived in a time of waning trust in institutions, big and small, particularly in the black and brown community. COVID-19 and uneven response to it has exacerbated that erosion in trust. Some families that regularly receive the annual flu vaccine are now reluctant to do that, because you've heard people say, well, man, maybe they're slipping the vaccine in the flu shot or whatever, or maybe they slip it in coronavirus in the flu. I mean, all kinds of stuff you hear. Listen, follow the science, please. Follow the science. Parents who once trusted their educators implicitly are now increasingly concerned about the educators' ability to keep their children safe from the virus, as well as the educators' trust in the political officials pushing for reopening. Because if I was a teacher, I would be concerned about a politician who's pushing hard to reopen schools. And I'm like saying, okay, what's behind it? Are you really concerned about education of the children, the safety of the children and the teachers, or you're doing something because you're getting pressure because there's some parents who just can't handle. I know the black and brown children are getting a hard time, but I just want you to think about it. Look, earning confidence in the schools, virus prevention plans will be no small sort of feat for them to accomplish. A perfectly developed architectural plan will fail without students and parents and teachers buy-in. You can't have a plan without their buy-in. And too much of what we see in cities like D.C. and other cities, whether it's the mayor, the council, other people making decisions about people's lives that they have no input in. That is certainly not democracy. And it's certainly not going to work, because if you don't have their input, then they don't feel like they can be a part of it. Listen, focusing on building and rebuilding trust is important. It's important to reopening schools as the clinical validity of any prevention strategy or medical treatment. Listen, you've got to build or rebuild trust. Do schools need to reopen? Yes, at some point, obviously. But it would be a matter of trust, building a more equitable and just educational system, which leads to opportunity, especially for those who have been left behind and often forgotten. Listen, I'm Dr. Tait. Thank you for joining me on Tuesday Spark. Have a wonderful evening. Don't forget to join us tomorrow for Bible study at 7:30. Or get up in the morning, 6:15 for prayer. Take care. God bless.